Sequels to my life entirely up to me. Slowly suffocating, do you notice how it feels? That baby, can you hold me while I'm running through a field like...
Yes, it's been a minute. The last time we touched on the David shit, he had just got arrested. Some of the documents came out. We're going to read up on all of this, and we're going to get just up to date with everything.
You probably already know about the Tesla, and you probably already know about 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found in the front trunk of that Tesla, registered to rising musician David. But what we didn't know for the last 7 months while David was walking around free was the detailed timeline that prosecutors now claim led to that murder and the body being discovered.
You talked about a chainsaw months ago. You talked about finding a chainsaw months ago.
And according to a gruesome new 9-page evidence brief, the timeline of Celeste's life, death, and decay is more disturbing than anyone could have imagined.
They met when she was just 11 years old. Prosecutors actually say they have photos, text messages that talk about the relationship of Plan B.
Prosecutors are now claiming that the murder of Celeste was followed almost immediately by a calculated cover-up that kicked into action just minutes after she was murdered.
This is a key month. We start April 22nd, 2025. David and Celeste apparently fight. This is after what the brief says, that Celeste and David had taken trips to Vegas and Texas and London. And during this alleged fight, Celeste had threatened to disclose damaging information about David.
But this was a cover-up that wouldn't stay covered up for long because David would be tracked, leaving a trail evidence through Uber records.
He orders an Uber to her house the next day. She takes that Uber from her house to his house, and investigators say that that night her phone goes blank. There's no activity. Yes. Wow.
iCloud messages and files, Tesla GPS data, Amazon orders to his own home, along with deliveries from Postmates.
Okay, let's just say fuck it. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into this shit. This is all the intro?
For weeks, David's legal team would demand that the evidence against him be made public.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste, and we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity.
Leading the charge for this disclosure was his attorney, Blair Burke, a high-powered LA lawyer known in the city for being a Hollywood fixer. Years earlier, Blair drew backlash for saying that she was proud as a feminist to represent Harvey Weinstein. But in David's case, her plan was simple: force prosecutors to reveal their evidence early before they had time to prepare, so that they could find the holes.
Okay, so a couple things with the court thing. I'm sorry, we're just gonna get into it quick. First of all, I know Harvey Weinstein had her. Gang, that nigga's in jail, gang. I'm gonna be honest, bro. If I just see a nigga go down with a lawyer, I don't know if I'm trusting her in this situation. And this is a murder case. That nigga like Harvey Weinstein lost a sexual assault case. If I'm locked in this situation, nigga, I'm hollering at Brian Steele, nigga. You see that nigga? Thug was facing RICO charges, nigga. He's out on probation, and some niggas may say, oh, he didn't win the case. He had to. The only reason Thug got fucked because of that is because niggas already took plea deals saying yes, it's a gang. So he had to take a plea deal. The best he could get was a plea deal for the gang shit and conspiracy, because he can't say, well, it's not a gang when niggas already in the case are pleading and saying that it's a gang. And side note, I think that shit's kind of bogus, because a nigga could just say that, take a plea saying that to save their own ass, even if they don't believe that, but whatever. But yeah, this nigga, you gonna want to go with like a Brian Steele. You do need a girl, because when it comes to talk about Celeste and the victim, normally they get a woman to speak, because it's more like, if a man's up there like, yo, this girl, it's kind of fucked up. Like with a girl, the jury will be more open-minded to, you know, hearing her perspective on it. When a nigga's talking about, it's different. That's why if you see with like domestic violence cases or cases between a man and a woman, a guy normally gets a girl for their defense. But you should have like Brian Steele on this shit. He should have, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, he's fucked, to be honest, but.
He argued that the case was too weak to even go to trial. But Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, a veteran prosecutor nicknamed the Sniper for rarely losing murder cases, called their bluff in dramatic fashion. She would tell David's team that she would give them everything they asked for.
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we collected in this case over the last several months.
And then, when Silverman filed the state's 9-page evidence brief on April the 29th, 2026, David's legal team were in shock, making a sudden U-turn and suddenly fighting to keep the evidence out of the public eye. But once the document became public, their frantic attempts to cover it up suddenly made a whole lot of sense, because inside that filing was a full reconstruction of Celeste's final hours, built from phone records, Uber logs, Tesla GPS data, purchase receipts, forensic evidence, and autopsy findings. A mountain of evidence that would track David's every move from before the murder to long after the alleged cover-up. The state's evidence and their comprehensive timeline would pinpoint a very specific day and time, April the 23rd, 2025, the day they claim that Celeste's phone activity abruptly stopped because she was killed. But prosecutors say that the motive for the murder actually started the night before, because they claim in messages recovered from David's iCloud account that Celeste actually confronted him about the false promises he'd made her about their future relationship, apparently while he was seeing other people. Celeste was allegedly furious at being lied to, and in retaliation, she threatened to expose David's illegal relationship with to ruin his career. To prosecutors, they believe that this threat became the very motive for David to commit murder, because around this same time, David's career was reaching its biggest moment yet. His debut album, Withered, was only 72 hours away from release, with major endorsements and brand deals already in place, and a world
This
tour
nigga is
that
just
his
a
entire
moron.
career had been building up to, and suddenly it was all on the line. So the next morning on April 23rd, while still publicly promoting his music career that Celeste had just threatened to destroy, David would make promotional posts teasing tickets for his world tour as recorded on Discord logs the very morning of the crime. Then, later in the evening, just hours before the alleged murder took place, David was reportedly communicating with his team and posting more promotional content teasing his album. At 8:40 p.m, David...
You have to understand this nigga is not intelligent at all. Because you fucking got her Uber to your house. This is a moron. And a weirdo. I don't understand necessarily the thought process of why he... Now we're getting the details. This isn't even like... The average person would have more common sense than this. You get what I mean? You got her Uber to your house.
would book an Uber to collect Celeste from her home in Lake
And then she was never heard from again.
For a nearly 2-hour drive to his Beverly Hills home. For the next 90+ minutes, phone records suggested that David and Celeste had actually messaged the entire journey. By 10:10 p.m, Celeste had arrived at David's home, and barely 20 minutes later after Celeste arrived, David would allegedly begin texting her, asking where she was, as if she had never made it to his house. This contradiction stood out to prosecutors immediately, because the alleged records actually showed Celeste had been messaging him all the way to the destination. And
yeah, so he tried to like...
According to investigators, those texts before she arrived were not messages of concern. Instead, they were the first pieces of a cover story. In fact, as per the filing, soon after Celeste arrived at David's home at 10:10 p.m, prosecutors would claim that David attacked her with a sharp instrument, likely a knife. According to the autopsy,
he's an idiot. So yeah, so pretty much what he tried to do is she got there, the whole time they're texting, she gets there. After she gets dropped off, the nigga says, "Oh, where you at?" Like trying to text her to like make it seem like she never got there, which is just fucking retarded. Because the Uber driver would easily be able to, you would easily be able to go through the Uber and see that via the black box, and then also like the drop off, you would be able to see that he went and dropped her off at the location. So, you know what I mean? He's an idiot.
The attack left 2 wounds that caused catastrophic injuries.
One of the things I was thinking that we were going to see was probably a frenzied attack. And you and I have covered enough cases to know that frenzied means you've got multiple stab wounds. Jesse, what we're looking at here are 2 stab wounds that they have made note of in this autopsy report.
One blade fractured her ribs as it entered her chest.
Is to the left chest, so here, left chest, and it is penetrating what they're saying, the underlying intercostal space, which is actually, if you think about the muscles in between your ribs, that's the intercostal muscles. That's what they're talking about. So it's not necessarily passing through the bone of the rib itself.
While another tore into her liver, a wound that medical experts determined was most likely the fatal one.
We've got one in the right abdomen, and it goes directly into the liver, which in and of itself can in fact be fatal. All right, the liver is one of the most vascular organs in the body. So if you don't attend to this, to an injury directly to the liver, you're gonna bleed.
This might be a death case. This might be a death. He might get death for this. I ain't gonna lie.
Out, and you're gonna bleed out probably internally. All right.
Would he be the first celebrity to get a death penalty? I'm not talking about niggas who y'all made celebrities because they did some crazy shit. I wouldn't even say they were celebrities. They're just seen as like fucking criminals. But would this be like the first nigga who was a celebrity who got the death penalty?
But even then, the most disturbing detail was not just the attack itself, because according to the filing, David never called 911 or tried to help, instead allegedly standing by as Celeste bled out. By 11:30 p.m, roughly an hour later, location logs would show that David left his home while continuing to call and text Celeste's phone, asking her whereabouts. From there, Tesla GPS data and phone pings tracked him north on the 101 freeway towards an isolated area in Santa Barbara County, about 2 hours away from his home. Prosecutors believe that drive was a mission to dump some of Celeste's personal property and destroy evidence.
He's fucked. He's fucked. And he's an idiot. You're going in a Tesla you're going in a Tesla to drive out there right after that. Like, all of that, they can just go see.
Prosecutors say that David was on the road trying to dump evidence. Members of his Discord server were already sharing DMs begging him to come back online. By the morning of April the 24th, David had returned home and stepped back into public life. According to the prosecution's timeline, his next stop was a radio interview to discuss the upcoming release of Withered. In that interview, David noted...
So not even 24 hours after killing her, he drives all the way out there, comes back, and then goes and does a fucking radio interview. This nigga is literally like a sociopath. He has to be. The thing is too, is like, this is so sloppy. Like, I don't understand how he thought he was gonna get away with it. He's probably just banking on the fact that because she went missing, nobody would ask questions, but everyone still knows that you talked to her. So the fact that she's missing, they're gonna start looking in your direction.
Possibly sounded more reserved than usual.
The making of this album was kind of crazy too. I mean, but the most recent version, the one that I'm very happy with, the one that we're gonna put out, I made in a total of 4 weeks. So I went to London for 2 weeks with 3 of my friends, and we just made a song every day for 2 weeks in London.
Compared to interviews from just a week earlier.
What does it mean to be withered? So the entire aesthetic of this project is returning to the dust. A rose grows from the dirt and then it also decays back into the dirt. So with this project, the way I made it, the way I'm talking about the themes on this project, the way I'm talking about my emotions and my feelings, it's all returning to the dirt with this. It's like a entire life cycle.
During that same day, he apparently sent 2 more check-in texts to Celeste's phone, but those messages could only go unanswered. And then the evidence trail moved into an even more disturbing phase. Later it would be reported that David had actually gone live on Twitch around 4:30 p.m, just 18 hours after the alleged murder, promoting his upcoming album whilst playing Fortnite, which is chillingly the very game he was playing when he first met Celeste.
My bundle real quick though. I need to buy my own bundle.
This nigga's sick, bro.
Buy my bundle. Oh, I gotta post.
Like, they said after you murdered a little girl, the niggas just there chilling.
I'm streaming too. Oopsie daisies, twin.
No anxiety, no fear. Like, this nigga, like.
Oopsie daisies, twin. Who got the bundle though? Who pre-saved the album though? The album come out in 4 hours. Who pre-saved that? Who did that? Who did these? Bro, I just want to say big shout out to Fortnite, bro, for giving me the locker bundle. I've been waiting for this for so long, bro. Whoa. You guys don't understand. When I was playing this game, been playing this game since 2018. Thank you. When we get the skin, it's gonna be a monumentous moment. A monumented moment.
Yeah, you could tell the nigga psychotic because, like, no nigga would be this calm after killing somebody. And knowing that even if you said fuck that person, you killed them, you would not be this calm knowing that you could, like, you haven't even covered nothing up. You're facing a potential like to get life in prison. Nobody would be this calm. It's niggas who have killed people who are more paranoid and like not doing all this shit this nigga's doing right now.
I'm so hyped, bro. I don't know what any of your plan was, bro. But you're not him. I swear, not him, bro. What was that, twin? Chat.
But even more creepy, it would appear that in between Twitch sessions, that very same day, the day after the alleged murder, and the Santa Barbara County drive, financial records would show that David actually ordered a shovel from Home Depot, and according to the filing, that shovel was delivered to his own home through delivery app Postmates under a fake name, Victoria Mendez.
See what I'm saying? Like, he's a moron. You're ordering some shit to your house under a fake name, but it's still coming to your house. You know what I mean? But okay, one part where I will say maybe the fake name was an attempt to cover it up, because a lot of celebrities, they will always put a fake name when they're ordering, like, on Amazon, or if they're ordering on like fucking Uber Eats and shit, because they're celebrities, so they want to put their name there and then like fans know where they live now. So I could understand that. But bro, the nigga's ordering a fucking shovel to his house. Like, niggas could see that. Like, this nigga's an idiot.
Investigator Steve Fisher would later post photos of mail outside David's home with the very same name, Victoria Mendez, on the packages. Online, the name Victoria Mendez only raised more questions, with some theorizing that it belonged to one of Celeste's friends or to a fake ID allegedly connected to her. After April 26th, 2025, just 3 days after Celeste's death, David never attempted to contact Celeste again. But even more disturbing, a Snapchat screenshot would surface in David's Discord showing him in blood-colored stained gloves pressing a finger to his lips in a shushing gesture.
That's fucking wild. Because they both had the shush shit towel on their finger. That's fucking crazy.
Following
this nigga's fucking psychotic, bro.
2025, David's public life would continue as if nothing happened, but behind the scenes, prosecutors say his digital footprint began telling a far more disturbing story of trying to conceal the murder. By May the 1st, that pattern continued when records showed that he bought 2 chainsaws from Amazon, tools that investigators believe were intended for one gruesome purpose.
This nigga's crazy.
You talked about a chainsaw months ago. You talked about finding a chainsaw months ago. Your reaction to this, does this confirm everything that you couldn't actually reveal at the time? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it confirms some of it. You know, we didn't know everything. Let's be honest about that. But, you know, we did find a chainsaw. We knew that they were ordered in the name of this Victoria Mendez.
The ordering of these chainsaws was a strange decision that raised a few eyebrows once publicly disclosed, and even sparked rumors of an accomplice possibly helping David. Then on May the 5th, another package arrived at the Hollywood Hills home under the name Victoria Mendez. This time, the order contained a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a...
Like, is this nigga he has to be a retard. Bro, he has to be retarded, gang.
Blue inflatable kiddie pool. Prosecutors claimed that pool became central in David's efforts to conceal evidence in the course of...
Like, I know it's crazy, it's a spectacle. I'm not even trying to be one of them niggas, but bro, really don't, like, this nigga, this is a little ass girl, nigga. Like, really think about the fact that this nigga had to go out his way. You have to understand, gang. Especially because, like, me and this nigga are around the same age, right? You have to understand the place mentally you have to be in to intentionally go out. Like, you have to understand. This nigga's famous. You off of that, you could already pull you could pull a lot of straight just off the fact that you have money, just off the fact that you're famous, nigga. Off of the fact of you being famous, some niggas is famous and broke, still pull girls. Some niggas is rich, no fame, pull girls. famous and rich, you could pull girls like regular. You had to go out of your way to seek out this little girl, nigga. And then on top of that, that's why I'm not understanding the motive of him going and killing her to protect his career when she threatened him, because was he not already scared of her going and doing that? Like, there's some niggas out here who are weirdos, PDF niggas, who the only reason they don't do no weird shit is because they're scared of them getting exposed and fucking up with what they got going on. Keep it in 100. There's a couple niggas in this bitch who are weird, so they don't even risk it. This is a nigga who he's bringing her on streams and shit. So I don't understand what his thought process was behind trying to murder her, because you murdering her draws more attention to the fact that you're fucking with her underage, especially if she goes she's missing, right? And she was missing for a better time already, but she was going back already to her parents. So around, when was it? They said April is when she went missing. So eventually, they would have had to go and start investigating this nigga, because niggas already knew that she was going to his house. Gang, this nigga's an idiot. Because even then, say you get locked up, right? You do some weird shit with her. You get exposed. Your career done. He put some money up, fight it. He might get some years in jail, or he might even, with his lawyers, he might even get probation. And like have to register as an offender, you know what I mean? You still have the money you made. For him to do this, I don't even understand. Like, this nigga's an idiot, and then he's ordering shit to his house.
Celeste. They would allege that David placed Celeste's body.
But like, that's the sick aspect too, because he had to go out of his way to seek out this little girl. Like, he had to do obstacles and to get to her, to try to fuck with her over just a regular girl. You go to a show, every shorty, 90% of shorties at his show he could take back home if you want to. Like, this nigga's sick, bro. He's sick. And then on top of that, it's like the nigga, after the family got her back, the nigga went to her house. That's what we saw in the last one. The nigga went to her house to give the little nigga a phone to give to her so he could get back into contact with her. This nigga is a moron, and he's a weirdo. So this might be a case where he genuinely gets the death penalty. I'm gonna be honest with y'all niggas.
Inside of the inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto the garage floor. The autopsy would confirm that her arms and legs had been, with her arms below the elbows and her legs above the knees, two further pieces. Even after that, the pool allegedly still left evidence behind, because forensics would later find small blue plastic fragments embedded in Celeste's wounded limbs, linking the body directly to the type of pool that David had ordered to his home.
We did previously report that blue plastic fragments were found in Celeste's wounds. Well, now we are learning from prosecutors that an expert was able to make a physical fit match from those blue fragments to that blue inflatable pool David allegedly had at his home.
Then came another detail the prosecutors say pointed directly at David. Celeste's left ring finger and pinky finger had been and have still to this day never been recovered. To prosecutors, the missing fingers were not random, because Celeste's ring finger actually carried a red tattoo bearing David's name. David allegedly placed her head and torso into the cadaver bag, sealed her limbs into a separate garbage bag, and loaded everything into the front trunk of his Tesla. This small compartment became the place where Celeste's remains would stay hidden for nearly 4 months.
And then he just left her, he left it there. I'm just trying to tell you, this nigga is a moron, but he's also insanely sick. To me, this warrants the death penalty, because I feel like when you look at the fact of what happened, it's like the nigga went out of his way to groom this girl, lure her over, R-word her. Then when she left, he went out of his way to bribe and involving other children. Because, bro, some of the kid who went, he gave the kid $1,000 to go give her a phone. Yo, it's probably bare people like, yo, why the fuck would you go give her the phone? It's your phone. He's a fucking kid. You're giving a kid $1,000 to give her a phone. That nigga not thinking nothing of it. He's a kid. You give him $1,000. You're how old are they? 12, 13 at that time, 14. Bro, it's $1,000. Bro, he's like, what? So then you roping other kids into this crime. Then you go out your way to bringing her. You have CP on your phone with her, and then probably others. And then there's probably other victims that he has done some CP. They're claiming that he did some R-word shit with. Then on top of that, you then killed her, and then the lengths stabbed her. Not shoot her. She went out her misery quick. Stabbed her. She slowly bled out and died. This little girl. Then you went out of your way to spend all this money. Message her phone, saying, "Oh, I don't know where you are," to cover up. Went out of your way to spend all this money to do things to get rid of her body, and chop up her body and shit. Drive out to dispose of her shit. Then are going and doing fucking interviews. And having parties and fucking going to doing fucking Twitch streams. the level of sickness that the nigga went had to like the level of sickness and preparation and money that went into this. This is 100% worthy of the death penalty, gang.
Being in the car for quite some time. I still think it's a little confusing about where the remains were, when they were transported to the car. I mean, do you have a better idea?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he stored them in the car. We heard from neighbors that the car started moving around the neighborhood starting in May. But you listen, it was nearby, and it was. Listen, I'm in search and rescue. I've dealt with a lot of deceased bodies. There's a very distinct smell that, especially if it was in the garage for a while. And that's where the other Tesla was being parked. It was going in and out. It was not being parked on the street, and they had like an arcade set up down there. I don't know how these people didn't know.
And during that time, prosecutors say that David lied to all of his friends and business associates about the smell of decay coming from his home and vehicle. That detail became even harder to ignore because David's garage was located right beneath his bathroom window. And in a resurfaced July 2025 livestream, David was in the bathroom with his friends Asia Collins, Neo Langston, and streamer Sakura Shimko when he abruptly apologized and joked about a foul smell in his house.
Oh, yeah, I apologize in advance for the way my bathroom smelled. I took a shit like 2 hours ago.
I don't care, I just took a
Another one? Type shit. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this thing is sick, bro.
Meanwhile, location data suggested that he was still actively trying to dispose of evidence. On May the 8th, just 3 days after the alleged, David reportedly returned late at night to the same.
You know how crazy it is for them to like be looking back, like, because I don't think Sakura like fucking knew about it. There's no fucking way, you know. Like obviously there are a lot of people around him. He's a celebrity. He's this big artist who's locked in with the streaming community. What aspire. Nobody is thinking nothing like this. So for this nigga to do this, he's like, holy, like, or like even them looking back and thinking about it, like yo, you know how fucking like crazy that probably is from like
Santa Barbara County, leaving his home at around 11:30 p.m. And then on May the 31st, he allegedly made another documented trip to that same location. By July the 7th, prosecutors say his efforts to destroy evidence had entered another phase, because that day, David allegedly ordered a burn cage to his home, once again under the fake name Victoria Mendez. To investigators, the burn cage fit the very same pattern as the shovel, the chainsaws, the body bag, the pool, and the repeated trips to Santa Barbara County. It was another sign that prosecutors believe that David was trying to erase evidence. And eventually, it would be that same area in Santa Barbara County that investigators would claim that a Caltrans maintenance worker actually found Celeste's passport card in a brushy area in January 2026. Finally, just before leaving Los Angeles for his Withered World Tour in late July 2025, surveillance footage allegedly captured David parking the Tesla for the last time on Bluebird Avenue, and inside the front trunk was Celeste's remains, still hidden in that car, sat for days.
Left it there.
David swanned off on tour.
I know everyone already comes to this consensus, right? But there's no way he beats. I'm just keeping on. There's no way he beats this case. Like he's done, because it's just a question now about whether he'll get the death penalty or not. He's not beating this case at all. Like I watch a lot of crime shit. It's niggas who I've seen get life for way less. There's way too much evidence. He's done. There's like he doesn't have a hope in hell of beating this case. I think if he could go back in time and he knew the evidence they had on him, he probably would have deleted himself. Like I think going in, he probably didn't think they had that much evidence, and then when he got in there, he was like, "Oh fuck," you know.
On July the 29th, 2025, rising musician David, real name David Anthony Burke, left Los Angeles to begin his Withered World Tour. But before leaving, prosecutors now say surveillance footage captured David moving and parking his Tesla on Bluebird Avenue, just 400 feet from his Hollywood Hills home. And for the next 38 days, that Tesla would sit in the Los Angeles summer heat, while neighbors eventually began to notice a smell that only disappeared after several parking tickets finally led to that Tesla being towed. Then, on September the 8th, 2025, 3 days after the vehicle was impounded, what looked...
Just a question. You see how the nigga drove by on that camera, right?
Several parking...
If he left the car there, surely he would have to walk back or something, you know? Is there footage of him coming back?
Tickets finally led to that Tesla being towed. Then, on September the 8th, 2025, 3 days after the vehicle was impounded, what looked like a routine tow job would suddenly take a horrific turn. When at the tow yard, the manager noticed the smell of decay and flies coming from the Tesla.
I love that this is not phasing you at all.
I found that singer who murdered his underage girlfriend's body like a month ago. Nothing phased me after that.
Wow.
So he notified LAPD.
Wow. I never saw that.
When detective manager noticed the smell of decay and flies coming from the Tesla.
Wow.
I love that this is not phasing you at all.
I found that singer who murdered his underage girlfriend's body like a month ago. Nothing phased me after that.
Wow.
So he notified LAPD, who quickly determined that this car was indeed registered to David. When detectives opened the front trunk, they discovered a black cadaver bag covered in insects. And inside the bag, they would find the severely Celeste. And beneath it, detectives found the second plastic garbage bag containing the arms and legs.
It was really terrible. She was partially liquefied.
Oh my god.
Partially skeletonized. There was extensive maggot activity.
Investigators also found that Celeste's left eye was absent.
There were other things here, mutilation of that, and
and the eye. Did you see the eye was does that tell you anything that that left eye was not present?
Terrible to think about, but the other eye was present, although liquefied, decomposed.
Oh my God.
Is there some way that that eye, that missing orbit, could have been so decomposed that it liquefied and drained away?
I think so.
I don't know.
While the ring
It's possible. I mean, they didn't find maggots in it, so it's not like it got eaten. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. So probably. Holy, this nigga is sick, bro.
Were missing from the vehicle. But even after the missing fingers, investigators found another mark that tied the case back to David, because Celeste had a red shush tattoo on the inside of her remaining right index finger that matched a tattoo that David had on the very same finger. For more than a week, the victim's identity remained unknown. Then, on September the 16th, 2025, the LA County Medical Examiner used dental records to confirm that the body belonged to 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The next day, on September 17th, investigators served a search warrant at David's Hollywood Hills rental home, and inside, prosecutors say the evidence quickly connected the Tesla back to the house.
A dozen LAPD investigators took a computer and other items from this Hollywood home.
And it, like he doesn't like a lot of the shit that they're, mind you, all the shit they're finding on his phone, they went through his phone and found that. So the nigga didn't even dump his shit. Like he still has all that shit on there. Like this nigga is sick.
Abandoned Tesla was found with a dead teenager in the trunk. Police spent hours at the home on Dehaney Place, placing several evidence bags into an SUV. Several homeowners say they remember seeing that distinct Tesla for a while. First parked in front of the house police searched today, then at 2 different spots on the street.
And using luminol, crime scene investigators searched floors, surfaces, and sink drains for traces of blood.
Right,
in the
drop my
garage,
shit,
bloodstains were
my
later
fault.
matched to Celeste's DNA. And detectives also reportedly recovered a blue inflatable pool from the property. According to forensic experts, blue plastic fragments from that pool were embedded in Celeste's remains, with these fragments physically matching cuts that were found on that same pool. Investigators also found a chainsaw and burn cage, which prosecutors linked to the any possible plan to destroy evidence. Investigators also seized electronics and computers, while a private investigator later described other disturbing items in unopened packaging that seemed out of place inside a residential home. From there, detectives began working backwards, and according to the new court filing, the evidence didn't begin with David's Tesla. It stretched back for years. Authorities determined that David had apparently first met Celeste in January of 2022 when she was only 11 years old. And by November of 2023, when Celeste was and David was 18, prosecutors alleged that a relationship and a pattern of had begun. Then, in early 2024, Celeste's family reported her missing twice to authorities in Lake Elsinore, roughly 90 minutes from David's home. At the time, missing posters stated that Celeste was last seen on February the 14th, with home surveillance reportedly capturing her leaving around 2 a.m. on Valentine's Day. After Celeste was reported missing, Lake Elsinore police identified David's phone number in her phone records. And when police contacted him on February the 17th, David claimed that he had last spoken with Celeste on February the 13th or 14th, while also claiming that he didn't know she was or that she had been reported missing. But perhaps not believing his story, that very same night, Lake Elsinore authorities contacted Los Angeles deputies to conduct a welfare check at David.
Hold on, give me 1 second. Like, this nigga is sick, bro.
Home on North Doney Place in West Hollywood. When deputies arrived around 8:15 p.m., they explicitly told David that Celeste was a 13-year-old runaway. Still, David again claimed that he didn't know she was and on top of that, he claimed that he had only met her once in person in November 2020.
So on top of that, the police was already on him and the nigga was still
on North Doney Place in West Hollywood. When deputies arrived around 8:15 p.m., they explicitly told David that Celeste was a 13-year-old runaway. Still, David again claimed that he didn't know she was and on top of that, he claimed that he had only met her once in person in November 2023, the very same month that prosecutors say the relationship begun. But according to prosecutors, that claim didn't line up with what investigators found, because while David had claimed that he didn't know her age, prosecutors say that he actually showed police a yearbook photo of Celeste he had on his phone, perhaps in an effort to prove that he thought she was older. Apparently during this time, members of David's management team were actually contacted by concerned citizens who shared the missing poster and requested that she be returned home. Furthermore, later DMs from David's friend Asia Collins would suggest that she too had been informed by a member of the public that Celeste was just 13 at the time, with her acknowledging that this was indeed David's girlfriend. 2 days after the welfare check, and after numerous people prying into the situation, Celeste was suddenly returned back home to her family in Lake Elsinore. And after she returned, her parents...
So when the police pulled up and people started checking him behind it, then the nigga got shit like, oh shit, and then sent her back home. This nigga
confiscated her phone in an effort to cut off communication. That's when prosecutors say David did something truly predatory, driving to Lake Elsinore and paying a junior high school student in Celeste's class $1,000 to deliver a burner phone that he had purchased for her so they could communicate behind her parents' back. And throughout 2024, prosecutors say that Celeste continued spending significant time with David, including weekends at his Hollywood Hills home and trips to Las Vegas and London and even Texas to meet his family. The filing also described...
I do think here, like, I'm not trying to criticize the parents because obviously they're dealing with such a crazy loss, but I do think you have to call the police on this nigga who is literally like being a predator to your daughter. Like, I'm not understanding how this isn't something that was looked into.
Text exchanges referencing and Plan B emergency contraceptives, along with photos that prosecutors say fully corroborated the relationship. By November 2024, prosecutors say that David and Celeste were no longer officially together, but the messages suggested that their relationship still continued. Then in March 2025, just 1 month before the alleged murder, investigators recovered an iCloud message that prosecutors say showed that David was still manipulating Celeste. In one text from her that they wrote, Celeste had apparently said to David, all we do is have and just hang out. Man, I just want more than that for myself. By the time detectives pieced the timeline...
See, even a little girl was picking up on the fuckery this nigga was doing. Even she picking up on it, and this, yeah, like, yo,
outlined together, the body in the Tesla was no longer the most damning piece of evidence against David. It was just the final resting place for a victim of a much larger murder conspiracy. Now, the case moves forward in court. David Anthony Burke has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him, and his defense still maintains that he did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, but prosecutors say that the evidence tells a very different story. They've got a mountain of evidence, phone records, GPS data, purchases, deliveries, forensic testing, and the remains found inside that Tesla. The next major step is a preliminary hearing that's now scheduled for May 26th, 2026, where a judge will decide whether the evidence is strong enough for the case to move forward to trial. But once it does go to trial, if convicted, David could be facing life in prison without the possibility of parole, or perhaps even the death penalty, depending on how serious prosecutors decide to make things. But beyond the filings, the hearings, and the evidence, the most important thing about this case is Celeste, the 14-year-old girl whose life was stolen away from her. A girl whose story was hidden for months, and whose name truly deserves to be remembered for far more than the way she was found. So as this case continues, my hope is simple, that the truth finally comes out fully, and that anyone proven to have harmed, enabled, or covered up what happened to Celeste is finally held accountable in a court of law. And that in the end is all we're asking for, and that's why we're keeping her name alive. Justice for Celeste. Rest in peace.
This nigga's sick. I definitely think that this is gonna be a death. The prosecution gonna shoot for the death penalty. We have to see if the jury is gonna sign off on that. But this is one of those cases that 100% like 100% warrants the fucking death penalty. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's been crazy cases where a nigga shoots another nigga, probably killed 4 people. But the lengths, the money, the resources and assets, and all the effort that was put into this case for him to do this, I think this one just, and like he's bringing her from city to city, like traveling, like this 100% warrants the death penalty. So we'll just have to see.
Something, baby, I like just how you blushing. And maybe we could bust it at the function. Turn nothing to something. Wish you could just see the horrors of my life may upbring.